Welcome to the Catapult Effect, a podcast where professionals like you turn challenges into opportunities for extraordinary growth. If you're tired of struggling, feeling lost, and ready to catapult yourself into the best version of you, then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Katie Wrigley.
Thank you for that. I really love that you pointed that out. And I have one last question about our work before we dive into the travels, because that's the really, really cool stuff. Because we kind of had a laugh about this, but what had your first impression been when you had heard about me and this crazy ass looking ball that I have that's a part of my work?
Of course, it's super important to note because that was my mindset before, and I was totally thinking, oh, what's this hippie chick with a ball gonna help me with, And how is a little ball with a bunch of colors and a couple of things that I didn't know this? Yeah, thank you for having me, because I almost brought mine. And having these things on the ball that I didn't even know at the time what they meant or what they were, when these different colors, what is this hippie lady gonna help me with? And I had no idea, and it's absolutely transformed my life. So I couldn't be more grateful.
And it cracks me up because so many people go through that, myself included. Like, I remember thinking, what is this wacky looking ball going to do for me? But it was so much more appealing than the surgeon's knife. So I gave it a go.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that doubtfulness, that skepticism, that's a pretty real part of the whole process of getting introduced to cognitive.
I want to note and encourage anybody who is listening to this that what hurts you or what takes away from you from at least trying, because that was my mentality is, okay, at least I'll try this. I'm not having a good time and I'm not doing okay. And I remember a conversation that I had with my dad at the time, and I just sat him down, and it did take courage for me to say it, but it was really hard for me to say it. I just said, I'm not okay. I remember saying, I am not okay. And I wasn't feeling okay. And I couldn't put my finger on what it was, but I just remember being not okay and not feeling right. And I just want to encourage anybody, and the people who are listening to this, if you're on the fence of starting something like this, at least try, because the worst thing that you could experience is that it's not for you, but definitely try it.
Thank you for that, Maverick. And so just so the person listening knows, we worked together for about 3.5 months pretty consistently. So what we're talking about in the transition that Maverick's about to go into happened in a very short period of time. So as we started to wrap up our work, as you started to wrap up your school year, Maverick, what did you realize that you wanted to do?
I've always felt like I wanted to see the world, and I'm just really grateful that I have the opportunity to do it now. Yeah, it's just incredible. It's allowed me to connect with so many amazing people, allowed me to experience new culture, can gain a new perspective, really understand what life is about. And I've always felt that calling. My dad moved from Germany when he was 20, so there's definitely curiosity and exploration in my blood. And there was something about me that didn't want to stay in my familiar hometown area. And I think there's a piece of that comes from that trauma that I did experience as well, because these memories that I've had amazing memories, I've had amazing experiences in the hometown I did grow up in, but they've shifted, and it's kind of left me with a bad taste in my mouth, to where I feel that there is so much more out there. And I'm really grateful for the adversity that I've experienced that has shifted my mentality in that.
That's such a good mindset. So where did your travels start, Maverick? What were you initially setting out to do?
Yeah, I remember you and I had a session, and I told you, I said, I feel called to Hawaii. And you were just super supportive. And we didn't know what it was going to turn into. And I remember saying to you, I didn't know how it was going to work, but I said, I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to Hawaii. And I started in Hawaii, and the original plan was to do a 4-month work trade that I was going to be in the same place, working on a guy's farm, doing homeless shelters, working on that, and working on something that was bigger than myself. And that was the plan, but that didn't go according to plan. And I ended up totally doing all of the islands for a month and a half, going to Japan for 4 weeks, and then going to Thailand for 4 weeks.
That is absolutely amazing. So what have those adventures and those experiences taught you and shown you, Maverick?
A lot of it was solo, and a lot of it was totally on my own. Being there for myself is definitely the main thing that I've gained from that, and just the comfort of having myself. And why wouldn't I be scared to do it? Because I know I have myself. And it definitely has taught me a lot. And it's allowed me to learn so much about myself, because I felt like before I was in this constant state of almost distraction. I think a lot of times all of us are, whether it's a phone, whether it's a movie, something, some sort of entertainment or something of distraction that we all experience, because we don't want to deal with the deep rooted stuff. We don't want to deal with ourselves at the deepest level. And I felt like I totally couldn't distract myself from being by myself. I had experiences where I was on a 14-hour overnight train from one end of Thailand to the other in third class, no AC, by myself, laying on the floor. And it's times like that where you can't go into this. I'd say the best way to put it is you can't go into that negative mind frame, because it's just you, and you got to be there for yourself. And no one else is going to help pull you out of that negative mind frame. You have to do it for yourself and be there for yourself.
Absolutely. And it's so true. Even if you aren't doing something like solo traveling, showing up for ourselves is absolutely critical, and starting to source that and empower that for ourselves. That could be one of the best things that we can do. But when we have these other things to rely on that you get rid of completely when you're solo traveling like that, like it can almost be harder to start to rely on yourself, because you have crutches and you're aware of those crutches there. And I'm not excluding myself from that either. You have so much courage. Like, I was thinking as I was getting ready for this, is like, he's got much bigger balls than I do. And like, I love that about you though. And I absolutely love it. And I do actually plan to do something similar at some point in my life, is to bounce around and spend 3 to 6 months in different places all over the world. And with a business that's mostly online, I'll have the flexibility to be able to do that. That's not going to be happening for several years, because there's people that I really love that I want to be up close with while they're still here. My parents being the big ones that I just want to spend whatever time I can with them and enjoy them. But at some point, I know they're not going to be here anymore. And after that point, and my animals, it'd be really hard with my 2 cats and my dog to try to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point in my life, things will change. And I want to take a page from your book and actually do some solo traveling too. So tell me what started to come up. So your older brother, McGuire, and you have a company called Untamed Outfitters. So tell me a little bit about that, Maverick.
That's right. So this is our logo right here. And I want to commend you on your new journey that you're going to embark on in the coming years or in the next decade of your solo travels. And I'll be happy to help in what I can, but I'm very excited for you to step out there and step into the world. But yeah, we started a business together, and it's Untamed Outfitters. And we've been working on this for about 1.5 years, but I'd say we've gotten serious about it in the last 6 months. And the main goal is to, of course, the name is Untamed, and so are my usernames on social media is Mav Untamed. And the main goal for that is to encourage people to live untamed. And I'll explain, of course, more of what that means. I feel like each individual has a version of themselves that is untamed, but a lot of us suppress that version of ourselves. Society wants us to suppress that version of ourselves so we can conform easier, so we can blend the norm of what society wants us to be. And we want to encourage people to lean into that version of themselves, the version of themselves that doesn't know exactly what it's going to look like, but embraces adversity, embraces risk, embraces the unknown, and leans into it.
Nice. And we've talked about some of the things that it means to live an untamed life. And one of the things that we talked about is your sobriety, and your older brother, McGuire, is also sober. So I would just love to hear what you have to say about like how that's been for you, especially as a 20-year-old man choosing to have a sober life and this untamed lifestyle. How does that look for you, Mav?
My brother, he's been sober now from alcohol for over 1 year now. And I'm at the 5 or 6 month mark with alcohol. That's not as much of my main focus. I definitely just don't enjoy it as much. But my big vice for a long time was cannabis. And so now I'm pushing to the 3 month mark, which is definitely, it feels awesome, especially stepping into old environments and old settings. It's very easy to have old patterns creep in. So what I've been wanting to do is definitely just eliminate that, acknowledge it, that it's there, acknowledge the fact that I sometimes feel like I want to, or sometimes it's not even that I want to, but it's necessarily just, it's the pattern that creeps in because of the old environment. So I've been acknowledging that and not been giving into it. I've been staying strong with that. But sobriety's been huge for us because I feel like at this point too, we have so much that we want to accomplish, and I don't want to celebrate anything because I'm not necessarily where I want to be yet anyway. But we want to stay as clear-headed as possible and as focused and as mission-driven as possible. And I feel like that's definitely a piece that would interrupt that. And so our main goal is to accomplish as much as we can and to inspire as many people as we possibly can. And with that, we want to stay focused and mission driven. And we feel like alcohol or cannabis would come in the way of that.
And I can't disagree with anything you're saying. I was thinking back to some of my drunken nights, and there was literally not one good idea that came out of them. Not one. That's just not typically the way alcohol works. I mean, maybe for some, I can't exclude that as an option, but for me, not so good. I made a lot of really poor decisions, actually.
Okay, I've been there too.
Yeah. I think most people who have had alcohol are usually like, yeah, that resonates. Mm-hmm. So what are you and McGuire creating with Untamed Outfitters? Like, what can people do if they want to work with you, if they want to come join you? Like, what does that look like, Mav?
Our mission is definitely still becoming more clear as we're working, and we're definitely in the early stages right now of building. But the mission is definitely clear in what we want to accomplish, which is encouraging and inspiring as many people to live untamed and to lean into that version, as I explained earlier, of the unknown. We definitely create various products, all clothing right now. And then we've also incorporated some skateboards. And a lot of times in the past, we've seen these brands that focus mainly on like one version of outdoor apparel, which could be surfing, it could be skating, it could be hiking or rock climbing, but we want to appeal to all of them because in fact, we love all of those things. We love to surf, we love to snowboard, we love to hike, we love to rock climb. And so rather than it being exclusive to just one aspect of the outdoors, we want to appeal to all of them. And in the future, I definitely see some things as it's going to broaden and grow. I definitely see us leading some trips because I feel like a lot of people also don't have that. And I don't necessarily think everyone should have the courage to go do all of the solo stuff. And we're happy to help lead people through those trips and learn about things that they don't necessarily know. Because my brother's a very good splunker. He's a caver and a very good skater and things like this that even I don't know as much about. So he can lead a little bit more of that. I can lead a little bit more of hiking, the travels, the more wandering, exclusive things. So I definitely see the vision broadening and growing as we go through the time. But right now, we mainly offer different various outdoor apparel, not specific to any sort of outdoor activity, but broadening to all of them.
Nice. I'm going to need to get one of those hats so that I can wear it when I'm snowshoeing and doing stuff around Maine with Tangy and living my own version of my untamed life.
I love it.
So you've done a really good job of capturing this on social media, and you talked about the response. And from what I've seen, you're well on your way to becoming a social media influencer. So tell me a little bit about like what you're talking about on social. I know we've already tapped into it a little bit, but if people decide that they want to start following you on social after listening to this, what are some of the things that they can expect from your posts?
Absolutely. So with my username being Mav Untamed, I really want to appeal to that same vision with Untamed Outfitters that think they go hand in hand. And in order to grow the Untamed Outfitters, I really want to, as I'm working right now, is growing on the personal brand side of things and showing people why they should buy our apparel or our clothing. I want them to get behind the mission. And so that's what I'm doing on social media, is just sharing my experiences as raw as they definitely are. Like I've had nights where I've slept outside while on the travels. I've had very freezing camping stories and all of these things that I like to capture and document and show people the untamed life. And I also want to emphasize that the untamed life doesn't have to be these crazy things. My brother's a big skydiver. I like to do these solo travel experiences, but they don't have to be these massive things. And I like that you touched on it. It made me smile, but you talked about your version of that untamed life. And that's exactly what I think it should be. not Maverick and McGuire's version of what an untamed life is, but leaning into your version. And that could be as simple as playing your music on your way home and rolling your windows down and enjoying that moment and leaning into that version of yourself that you have.
Yeah, I love that. And one of my versions is being a 51-year-old woman and wearing a unicorn hat. And it is my absolute favorite fucking hat. I love it. I love it. I love it. And it's really stands out in Mid-Coast Maine. Someone pointed out, like, oh, if you were in New York, like no one would even notice that. I'm like, yeah, that's not the case here. Pretty much everyone notices it. But
I love it.
It's part of me. It's part of, like, I loved unicorns before they came trendy. I'm gonna love unicorns when they're no longer trendy. So I think that may be my spirit animal.
Be you, coach. That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly. So where are you off to next on your adventures, Mav?
Yep, I'll be home for the next month and a half, just spending time with family. Also got to get a little bit of money in my pocket, and then I'll begin my next journey, which will be at the beginning of February, and I'm off to Central America. So I'm going to start in Guatemala, work my way south from there.
And smart to be doing that in winter. It's nice and warm down there. Not so much up here right now with 7 inches of snow on the ground.
No.
That's awesome. And if I understand correctly, you are also going to be releasing an ebook in 2026.
That's right.
So tell me more about that. Tell me more about the ebook, what it's going to cover, and why people are going to want to grab it from you.
Of course. I wish I had something similar before I began this solo travel journey. My solo travel journey happened on accident, to be honest. And I wish I had something while in that process, because it got scary for me. I thought I was going to be put in one place for 4 months, and thought I was going to have a place to sleep every night and have a little bit more safety. But once that plan didn't go according to what I thought was going to happen, and I was on my own and I had to start planning my own things, I wish I was able to refer to something like a solo travel ebook or a YouTuber and something like that. And that's kind of why I'm creating this stuff and this ebook, and also the content is to help people out and to provide as much value as I can from what I've learned. And so that's what the ebook will look like. It's going to be just about my experiences in the past and in this last 4 months that I've experienced, the lessons I've learned, the stories along the way. Also include things that are going to help people, like the packing lists, and we need way less than we originally think. I had like a 70-liter backpack and it was just way too much. So if I could recommend, and when I recommend in my ebook, will be to pack lighter, other lessons like things to look out for, scams, apps to download, all of those kinds of things that I've learned along the way that I definitely will recommend to people.
That is awesome. I'm definitely going to be picking up a copy of that. Do you have an estimate yet of when that's going to be available?
My plan right now is to drop it at the beginning of 2026.
Nice. Very cool. Before you take off on your next round of adventures.
That's right. Yep.
Awesome. And where are people going to be able to find that ebook? Where are you going to be announcing it, Mav?
Yep. I'll definitely make a post. So if you're not already, follow me on social media. My Instagram, my TikTok, and my YouTube are all Mav Untamed. And I'll be making a post about my ebook as well. We also have our Untamed Outfitters shop linked. It's in my bio. I have a link tree in there as well. So you can go to all my different socials. You can go to the Untamed Outfitters shop, and you can go to what will be my ebook and what will be there at the beginning of 2026.
Awesome. Fantastic. And I'm going to make sure that all of your socials, all the links to find you are included in the show notes. So go to the show notes for this episode, whether you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it on one of the other players, that will be included. So go grab those so you can follow Maverick. His posts are incredibly inspiring. He's not only out there doing really cool shit that looks like so much fun, like, taking flips into the ocean and doing some sort of sand surfing, I think it looked like in one place. But the messaging that you have in there with the adventures, that's the stuff that really motivates. And I love following you in social. Like, the algorithm knows that I'm watching you. So every time I go on Instagram, you're the first one I see on there, and I always smile looking at your posts and really get something from what you're posting out there too. So thank you for that, Mav.
Absolutely. Well, I have nothing but gratitude for you, and I'm very grateful that we were able to connect, work together, and I really think this is just the beginning. So very thankful for you, Coach Kate.
Thank you. And I'm very grateful for you as well, and getting to work with you the way that I did. Any last comments that you want to leave the person listening today, Mav?
Live untamed. That's my main focus. And I really want you guys to understand that it doesn't have to be those things that Coach Kate just listed either. It doesn't have to be the sand surfing. It doesn't have to be the flips in the ocean. It doesn't have to be skydiving. It doesn't have to be these crazy things. But whatever that version of yourself is calling you to do and act on it, because life is much, much shorter than you think, and it's going to go much, much faster than you think. So make the most of the time that you have. And the best way that I have found to make the most of that time is to live untamed.
Love that. That is a perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for joining me today, Maverick, and having this conversation with me. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you to the person listening. I know you have a lot of things that you can pay attention to on the internet, and I thank you for taking time to listen to this. And until the next episode, please be well and go out and live untamed.
Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend and leave a 5-star review, which helps grow the podcast and reach others just like you. While you're at it, connect with Katie on social media. You can find her on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram as @CoachKTDubs. That's CoachKTDubs. This has been the Catapult Effect with Katie Wrigley. Thanks for listening.